Well, I was news director at WHYN Radio and Television in Springfield. TV station was Channel 40, and the radio station was an AM, FM combination, and the radio station was the leading news station in Springfield.
The early and middle 60s is dramatized by the push for civil rights. One of the highlights was the 1963 March on Washington. A Channel 40 reporter and photographer went along with a trainload of marchers from Springfield. Look sharp and you'll see lots of familiar faces.
We covered a lot of civil rights news during that period because this was a festering national story, and there was a great deal of activity locally here in Springfield, which had a growing African-American population, and we tried to keep on top of what was going on in that area. I really don't know how it first came to my attention. I guess it was something that was very well known nationally, that there was going to be a March on Washington, that Dr. King was going to play an important part in it, and we found out very quickly that a number of the activists in Springfield were going to Washington to take part, and we decided at Channel 40 that we would send a reporter and a photographer to Washington with some of the local people to chronicle what they were going to do during the day. And not only were civil rights activists a big part of this local delegation, but there were representatives from church groups of just about every denomination, not people who would be considered civil rights activists, but people who, because of their church affiliations, felt very strongly about doing the right thing, and felt obligated, I guess, to add their voices and their signs to the march. I think the March on Washington itself had a great impact nationally. Dr. King's speech, of course, was probably one of his very best. I Have a Dream, and that had an impact, I'm sure, on most people who were watching or listening to coverage of the March on Washington on radio or television. Well, I think the media played an important role in opening people's eyes, and I don't like to brag, but our radio and TV stations, I think, were in the forefront of local broadcasters. I don't think any other local broadcasters approached what we were doing.
This was the only television film of this major event in Springfield's history.
We didn't set out at Channel 40 to set any records in terms of how many stories on civil rights we put on the air, but we had the Reverend Charles Cobb of St. John's Congregational Church on our early news so often that one of the wags in the newsroom started calling our newscast the Charlie Cobb Hour, which we took with a bit of good humor.